Hi, Taurus. Thanks for being here. This is the Rockstar Coach. I am here with your general reading for October 2024. So, whenever you find this, there will be a message in here for you. Today, I am using one of the very first card decks I ever got. It's called the Mystical Wisdom deck. And then an old deck by Doreen Virtue, Ascended Masters, and a new Animal Apothecary deck that I just love the illustrations in. And of course, if you have been here before, you know that I end all of my readings with the power of surrender. So let's get into it. Let's see what Spirit has for you, Taurus, for October 2024. Okay. So right out of the gate, you got confrontation. Pick your battles wisely. So it looks like, and you are not the only one that is having some of these energies. October is, we already kind of knew that October's energies were, I don't know, wonky maybe is the word you might use for it. There's a lot of energies here. There's a lot of conflicting energies, and a lot of things are coming to light right now on a global scale, as well as what I'm finding on a personal scale. And this really feels like this for you. There's some confrontation coming in for you, Taurus. It's people related. Obviously, most confrontation is. Though it could be government as well, those types of things, but maybe some legal matters. But really, this is confrontation I'm feeling on a personal level. So in work, there are some situations where there's some people at work that you're just finding it's almost impossible to get along with. And you're wondering, how can I remedy this? Am I going to have to leave? Am I going to have to push them out? Are we going to have a, quote, come to Jesus? So there's going to be some decisions that will need to be made. What I do feel around this, though, with work, for those of you that this resonates in the office or in the workspace, it will be resolved. You do have a conversation. You do kind of come together, and even if it's an agreement to disagree, there is some resolution here. On a personal home life, for those of you that this resonates in the home life, there will also be some discussions. It will take a little bit longer, however, in the home life and in the personal relationships, because there's more emotion involved, right? The people at work, you may care about them, but you don't love them in a way that you do the people that you live with or your family or romantic relationships. So it's going to be, it actually is going to be a little more difficult to come to resolution on a personal level than it is in the office. So take heart. I do see resolution coming. However, in the personal realm, it feels as though you're really going to have to kind of jump through some hoops and get over some hurdles in order to get past this. There is some confrontation that's coming up that one person or the other, perhaps both of you, are bringing up things from the past. And though most of the time that is very unproductive, in this case, it's simply using past experiences to come up with a solution to move forward. So you're using the past as kind of a springboard, actually, to get through this and move forward. So I do see it being resolved. It's just kind of like you may even feel like you're taking 2 steps back to take 1 step forward, but really you might be taking 2 steps back for a moment, but then you're catapulting and jumping forward, kind of taking that leap, and it's putting you further than you would have if you had not come up against this confrontation. So it's actually a good thing in the end, though when it happens, it's not going to feel so good in the beginning, right? Okay, Archangel Raphael, provider of healing for mind, body, and spirit. And I'm feeling like this comes first, the competition. Summon courage and self-confidence. So in the workplace, that confrontation in the workplace, there is, could be a spirit of competition because of because of this confrontation, or mostly the competition brings on the competition. Easy for me to say. The competition brings on the confrontation. Good grief, that's hard to say. So, look at it this way. While, yes, you may actually be competing with someone, understand that there is enough to go around. We live in an abundant universe. You may say, yeah, Michelle, but there's only one position that my company is hiring for, and this is it. And if I don't get this, then the vision that I have for my future, it's kind of dead, right? It's not at all what I want to have happen. But just because you may not receive that promotion or get that position that you're looking to achieve for your next chapter doesn't mean that that's actually the end of the road for you. Could be a different company. It could be that you're being directed to something different altogether, maybe a different position altogether. Maybe there's something that you hadn't even set your sights on yet because you kind of felt it was out of reach for you. And when you don't get this position or this advancement, it actually opens a door for you to something bigger, right? Now, that's not going to resonate for all of you. Some of you, the competition is you actually do get the position. You actually do get the leg up. For others, it's simply an energy of competition. There's nothing that you're fighting for as far as like a position or, a role in the company, but it feels like you're kind of always butting heads with this person. Like there's always something that you're coming up against with this person. And this also feels this way in the personal as well, in the home life. It feels like there's it's not on the level of toxicity, but it is this constant rubbing of like rubbing you the wrong way, right? And not just you rub them the wrong way too. I mean, let's be honest, right? And it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong or they're doing anything wrong. Sometimes people's personalities can just do that. But what I've learned from past experience is that when those people enter our lives, they're put there for a reason. And we are to listen and learn from these people. Because if there is something about them that rubs us the wrong way, quite honestly, most of the time, if we look in the mirror, we find that we actually possess those same qualities, those same personality traits, those same characteristics. And though we may not demonstrate them in the same way, we can possess some of those same traits. And so it's really an opportunity for us to open up and look at ourselves and say, okay, if this is bothering me, is there something that I can do to change this situation? Is there something that I can do to make things a little more amicable, to make things a little more easy and flow in a more peaceful manner? Okay. And then this Archangel Raphael, this provider of healing of mind, body, and spirit. This is what I was saying in the beginning. I feel that you come to resolution. This does happen for you. Archangel Raphael is all about healing. So this is mind, body, and spirit. Just when you feel like you're at the end of your rope, right? Where you feel like you have to jump ship in some sort of way, whether that's business or personal, you find healing, you find rest, you find resolution. And this can only come when you look at yourself, Taurus, and say, what is my contribution here? How can I resolve things on my end? What can I do to change? What can I do to make things easier, not just for the other person, not just for myself, but for the whole, right? Because guaranteed, the friction that you two feel, or even a group of people feel, it affects more than just you. It affects, if it's in a business, it affects the higher ups, if there are any. It affects the employees, if there are some. It affects the clientele, the customers. And in your personal life, it affects all of the people around you. It affects your friends, because you probably talk about it, you discuss things, right? It affects the rest of your family, those who are closest to you, and those on the outside as well, because when you have friction with someone, it affects how you show up in other relationships too. So really call on Archangel Raphael to bring in the healing for both you, the other person, and the collective, okay? For mind, body, and spirit. Really beautiful. It's not that it's going to be necessarily an easy flow. Nobody likes to have, confrontation. But if you look at it from a place of learning and growth, then you're going to get out of it what was meant to have happen, because everything, as we know, happens for a purpose. So let's move on to the animal apothecary. If you haven't seen these cards, I can't wait for you to see these illustrations. They're just so unique, and there's something about them. They are quickly becoming one of my favorite go-to decks. I love to try out new card decks, and I'm drawn intuitively to them when I see them. Something inside me just says, yes, pick this one. And for this particular one, the colors and the illustrations did it for me. So, all right, let's see what Spirit has to clarify. To clarify or affirm, and any additional messages for Taurus for the month of October. Okay, so we got, focus on the big picture. Another sign got this card, and look at all the cards in this deck, and another look at the big picture was pulled. That just shows that the collective energy, the energies that are in the air now, that we're experiencing now, they're not just for us individually. They are being felt on so many levels by so many different people. See the big picture. Focus on the big picture. And for you, Taurus, in this space of confrontation and competition, if you can kind of step back, take yourself out of the minute details and focus on the big picture, it's really going to shine a light on what's important. It's really going to shine a light on what needs to be heard, what needs to be felt, what needs to be experienced, what needs to be known. And this is, as I've said, this is a lesson for more than just you and this other person or the ones that are involved. It's really a lesson for the people that surround you. So whether or not, you are in a leadership position so that you can kind of, I guess, really pass the knowledge on to others, like people underneath you, or people that you work with, or if this is, in a family situation, this may be a teaching time. This may be a time to say, okay, I understand we're in this conflict right now, but I'm seeing what this is about, and I'm seeing the bigger picture here. And, let's take a step back and look at what's really important. Do these small details really matter? Are they really going to make a difference in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years? Is this really how we see our future? Is this really what we want for ourselves? And look at how each of you are behaving. Of course, don't point fingers. Look at yourself first, and always, take it on as a self-responsibility first. When we do that, 9 times out of 10, the other person steps up, So looking at the big picture and really understanding how this can help us in the future and help the collective, whether that's in a business or in your family or love relationships, it's really going to kind of throw water on the fire, so to speak. It's really going to kind of calm things down and bring it down to a simmer level, at least, to where it's manageable, to where you can come up with solutions that work for everyone. All right. So don't get bogged down in the small details, because when we do that, it tends to just upset us. It tends to bring out our pride and our ego, and get us thinking, well, you did this and she did that and he said that, and I deserve this and that. And while those things may all be very, very true, is it really helping the situation? Is it helping a solution be accomplished, or the conflict to be put to rest? Or is it antagonizing? Is it adding to? Is it adding fuel to the fire? I'm feeling one more from this deck, please, Spirit. All right, I think they want me to go to this deck and then come back. All right, so the Ascended Masters deck. This is, well, those I think just fell right out here. Too many for us. There we go. All right. Follow your heart. Saint Francis. You are going to, when you look at the big picture, this is why this wanted to come out now. Focus on the big picture. Because if you were to follow your heart prior to focusing on the big picture, you would follow it really in an ego space, in a 3D ego mind. But when you look at it and really have the intention of coming to resolution that's best for everyone involved, that is where, when you follow your heart, that's where the true solution will come into play. That's where you get out of your ego and your pride and you say, okay, I've focused on the big picture. I understand now what this is about. I understand my responsibility. I understand my part, and how I can make things better, how I can make some changes, how I can shift and see things from someone else's perspective. And then, and only then, in that space, follow your heart, and that will lead you to the solution. It will lead you to the resolution. That will be the true way, so to speak. So you've stepped out of your ego, and you've come into spirit, because you have focused on the big picture, which is involving everyone, not just self. So follow your heart after you have focused on the big picture. I feel like they want to go back and then come back again. Thank you, Spirit. Messages for Taurus for October. Thank you. Okay. Nourishment while waiting. All right. So I feel like they want me to go ahead and pull this follow-up card here from the Ascended Masters deck. It goes along with this. So nourishment while waiting. So while you are waiting for that resolution, while you are focusing on the big picture, you know, you may not be ready to follow your heart quite yet. You may not be receiving messages in your heart quite yet. You may not be ready to fully admit your part in the situation. But while you are waiting, it is the perfect time to do your spiritual work. You know, whether that means praying or meditating or some sort of self-development or stepping back, taking time out, resting. You know, you may be one that likes to take walks in nature. You may be a gym rat, hence the little mouse up here. You may be someone who likes to curl up on the couch with a good book. Whatever that is that causes you to kind of go inward and allow yourself to step outside of the current circumstance and allow your mind to breathe. This is really nourishment for the soul. This is nourishment for your mind. When we stay inside the situation, when we focus on the details, when we're kind of letting it go around and around in our head and playing it over and over, it's not allowing us the room to for solutions to come in, for those big picture solutions to come in. So take time out, step back, allow yourself to breathe physically, and then allow your mind to breathe as well. And what was the follow-up card to this? Open your heart to love, Jesus. So just like the focus on the big picture and follow your heart, St. Francis, these two cards are basically telling us a very similar message. Take time out and then open your heart to love, because that is where those solutions come. That is where we step outside of our ego and we see that it's not, the other person is not the enemy here. They are simply living their truth. They are simply learning. They are simply walking on their path. They are simply taking their own journey. And if we understand and recognize that we are doing the same thing, just in different ways, we can then soften. We can open our heart to love and say, you know what? It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. I don't need that position so badly that I want to hurt someone. I don't want to step on someone to get ahead. You know, I don't want to hurt someone with my words in order to get my point across. When we step back, when we focus on the big picture, when we take a break, when we step away from the situation, when we give ourselves some time to think and to breathe and to move energy, right, with our movement, it allows us to once we see the bigger picture and focus on the big picture, we can then open our heart and understand this is not a them against us. This is something on a much bigger level. And people, we do not want to let the darkness win. So, say it with me. I will not let the darkness win. I will not let the darkness win. Open your heart to love, Taurus. Open your heart to love. It's very easy and somewhat natural for us, Taurus, to be stubborn and not want to not even just admit that we're wrong, but to kind of go the opposite direction and say, it's okay. I'm opening my heart to love, because love, it truly does conquer all. It truly does. At the end of the day, if we focus on love, it will heal, it will remedy, it will help you come to the solution, to the resolution that everyone desires. Because no one likes to live in friction or, in a place where you feel tense all the time. Have you ever been arguing with someone and, you've either hung up the phone laying in bed, or that person might be next to you, and, you lay your head down and it's like, gosh, I just wish that there would be peace before I close my eyes tonight. Think about that as you open your heart to love. And when you allow love to come in, it truly will bring you the solutions. And you may find that whatever it was you were squabbling about or competing over, or that confrontation that you were in, you may find that when all is said and done, you kind of look back on it and think, that was silly, Maybe not, but on some level, you understand it really was not worth all that. Maybe it needed to be said. Maybe something needed to be, brought up so that you could find a solution and move forward. But it likely wasn't worth everything that you put yourself and others through, or, that arose in the situation. So when we can see the big picture and open our heart to love, things become much clearer, they become much easier, and they become much more peaceful, because that's what love is. All right, Taurus, let's get the last cards for you out of the power of surrender. Spirit, what does Taurus need to surrender or surrender to? What message just came through about peace? Surrender to inner peace. And I'm going to read this card. It says, cultivate inner peace on a daily basis. In quiet, meditative moments, focus on the stillness within and enjoy this inner refuge. Others will feel your good vibes too, and your life will flow more easily. If there ever was a confirmation of the messages that came through, this is it. I don't think I can add anything to that to make that any clearer. Spirit, one last message for Taurus, please. What can they surrender or surrender to? That may have been it. That may have been kind of the icing on the cake. It feels as though really nothing else needs to be said. But here we go. We have one more. This is a great one. Surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. So, Taurus, this goes back to the beginning. Well, it really does wrap up everything here. You can be stubborn. You can hold a grudge. Now is the time to look at those traits and see where they came from. We're not claiming that that's wrong, that you are wrong for doing that. And yet, do you feel inner peace when you are in that space? So, surrendering the outdated beliefs about yourself. Do you believe that you have to be a hard ass, right? Do you believe that unless you are, quote, ugly to someone, you're not going to get your point across? Do you believe that unless you cut someone off completely, you are not holding a boundary, or you are somehow not being true to yourself? What are those beliefs that you have that are telling you stay stuck, stay angry, keep them at arm's length, stay hard, right? Look at that in those meditative moments, and when you're nourishing yourself, that is where you can understand where those beliefs come from and let them go. Because I guarantee you, when you allow yourself to soften and let those beliefs go and open your heart to love, and then follow your heart is going to say, all right, we need to release some of these outdated beliefs that say, I'm not going to get what I want or where I want unless I push forward and step on and over people. When you open your heart and soften, I guarantee you, you will not only get what you desire, but you will get it much more easily. You will attain it much more quickly, and you will have inner peace in the process. And you will bring others along with you. Taurus, such a beautiful and strengthening message. This is a time of growth for you, Taurus. Really, really beautiful. I see you stepping up. I see you stepping into this new way of being. And wow, it is so beautiful. So beautiful. I cannot wait to hear back from you, Taurus. What happens during the next, 5 to 6 weeks, and how you come through this. Tell us about the peace that you find on the other side. Tell us about these beliefs that you let go so that you can have peace and harmony within yourself and with those around you. Thank you so much for the likes and subscribes. I so appreciate it. I am so close to reaching my 1,000 subscriber goals by the end of the year, and I give all the gratitude to my followers and to the universe and God for helping me get there. Thank you once again, Taurus. Until next time, take care.